SimRacing, you wanted the best, you got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Acosta strikes back. The battle of the teammates continued at Mid-Ohio, and signs point towards Abner and Michael being serious contenders for the championship. But while the first 2 tracks were tight and technical, things open up here at Road America. Will we see someone else jump into the mix when the tow pulls them along? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the PRL GTE Sportscar Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Samuel Ryman. Behind the scenes is art director Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. As one of the longest and fastest road courses in North America, the National Park of Speed should really separate the great from the merely good. But why don't we take a closer look at this gorgeous track near Elkhart Lake? Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But 2 of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why. You see a little bit sunnier conditions than some of the cloud cover we're experiencing today, but that should come in and out. But Sam, these GTE cars, I have to imagine the long straights will really play to these vehicles with how much oomph they've got underneath them.
Yeah, it will, and the draft could very much be a factor as well, Joe. So we just had a couple of aerial views of the track in our lap guide feature there, where you saw the length of these straights, and you can see it here even in just a little drawing, that there's plenty of overtaking opportunities around this course. You can get a run on the car in front, get underneath them, into turn 1 or also turn 5, which looks like the third turn on the course on this map, but that's just the way they named it, I suppose. So of course that means that good qualifying here today, of course, is great news. However, if you didn't get a good qualifying result, you can definitely work your way up through the field here at Road America. It's a 1 hour long race, and of course here with sports cars, as you get a look at the weather and the strong wind we have here, with sports cars, Joe, the question of fuel always comes into play with that one mandatory stop they have to make in the middle. And with it being 4 miles around, you don't want the race to go a lap longer than what you expected when you filled the car up, because you're not saving 4 miles of fuel around here.
Certainly not, especially on that uphill climb. But as always, today's race itself is brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring organizations, companies, manufacturers, teams, and drivers together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. They're also bridging virtual and real motorsports by providing a network between these two, involving sim racers, real drivers, teams, managers, engineers, and of course, motorsport fans alike. You can find out more about how you can get involved at SIMMSA.net. Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products create an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. The winner of Division 1 here in the PRL GTE Sportscar Series will get a ButtKicker Gamer 2 or a simulation kit. Also, both drivers of the winning team in the Team's Championship will get a free t-shirt. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Talking about those championships, let's take a glance at how the Drivers' Championship looks after 2 rounds, because you would think it was a tie with Diaz and Acosta swapping the wins. Well, they have those bonus points, and Diaz capitalizing on them better has allowed him a 4-point lead. This could become critical later down the line. Christian Eisler, with a good result last week, jumps up a position into third. David Holland as well gaining, but Karen, unfortunately, could not do as well as he would have hoped and slips down to 4th place with last week's result. Still incredibly tight, as you would expect here at the start of the season. Sam, what about the Team's Championship with Diaz and Acosta on the same team? I expect they're going to be doing pretty well this season.
Yeah, they are. They are defending champions of Obsidian Racing, and they're leading the championship right now. But of course, the difficulty for them, and we brought it up with both drivers at the conclusion of last round's broadcast, is that it's a 2-driver team. And that means that even after going 1-2 in the opening 2 rounds, they're only 4 points ahead of their nearest competition. And then we have a massive break back to V-Power Racing sitting there third in the standings, 30 points back, and SRT Esport moving up to 4th, and the Red Hot Chili Racers all the way down in 5th. That's the best team name I think I've seen since Excelsior Racing Team. That brings back some memories. But yeah, definitely some closer championship fights going on early on in the season, Joe, and we'll see if Road America can shake things up today.
Let's see what Road America has in store. You talked about how it was a 60-minute race, and we have that one scheduled stop. Well, it is among these 4 different cars that they can race: the Porsche, the Ferrari, the Ford, and the BMW. They also have an open setup, so they can tweak them to their liking. Downforce could come into play around here. We'll see who's willing to trim it out a little bit more. And they have an incident cap. That means that if they have an off or accidents out there, spins, incidents will start to climb. And once the count climbs to 20, they disappear from the circuit. There's your bonus points, the fastest lap pull, 3 or less incidents to try and claim those around here. And they have no spare car, of course, as always. So if drivers get damaged, that is going to hurt, especially on a track that requires a nice, smooth bit of aerodynamics around here. As always, you're watching this on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure and subscribe. All you got to do that is go to their YouTube page or just go right below this video. If you see a red button that says subscribe, that means you haven't done so yet. Click that and you won't miss a moment here on IESN. Right now, they're working on qualifying. Interestingly, Christian Eisler is our our provisional pole sitter up there, and a 10th over Abner Acosta, who won here last season. So Acosta proving to be pretty strong at this track, Sam, and I'm not seeing Diaz in amongst them thus far.
No, and I think he's he's all the way down the 9th. He's coming around the last couple of corners right now to complete another lap. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure he's on the pace here. Less than 5 minutes left in qualifying, Joe. You really don't get a whole lot of opportunities to set a good time in qualifying around here because of the length of this circuit. Michael Diaz will have enough time left for 2, maybe 3 laps, depending on how much fuel he's got in that machine. That lap did not count. I'm assuming that means he was off track at some point. So right now it's Christian Eisler, Abner Acosta, Fernando Borda, and Federico Montini in the top 4. David Holland, we saw him in the driver's standings just a moment ago when we brought that graphic up. He was fast in practice, and currently he's quick in qualifying too, currently sitting 5th.
Yeah, I'd say with one of the first 3 attempts for Diaz not counting, he's really got to hustle and get a clean one in. He's half a second off of our pole sitter and 0.3 off of Acosta as we watch Fredis come across the line, and then Duhamel, of course, as well, trying to get a little bit of a faster one in. Now, last season I talked about Acosta taking the win. He was facing off with Modov for much of that, but his other 2 main rivals were Borda and Harwood. Trying to see if either of them, yes, I see Fernando Borda sitting in 3rd. We mentioned him a little bit ago. He obviously clearly likes this track too. I wouldn't expect this to be a track to be a bit of a specialist track, but we're seeing the same names repeatedly show up towards the front here.
Yeah, it's not a specialist track, but I mean, there's very few turns, Joe. So if you can nail them, you know, if you can get every turn exactly right, that's going to make a big difference because you carry a lot of speed down the straights out of those turns. So if you get it a slight bit wrong, or if you don't get it as fast as what a pro could do, you're going to lose time. And that could be why we're seeing the same names at the top of the scoring board, particularly in qualifying. We'll wait and see how the race pans out. And Michael Diaz about to come up the hill again. We're going to see if he can bump his name up from 9th place.
Our eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed Diego Garrido, who continues to be a factor at the front of these fields. Oh, and you're right, Diaz just takes 2nd away from Diego as well. So that bumps Diego and Abner onto the 2nd row. And Michael Diaz will be starting next to Christian if things don't change.
Yeah, see Diaz pulled into the gravel there. That's so he can get back to the pits and see if he can get another run out there. So John Ambrose just went across the line. He is all the way down in 18th in qualifying right now. He was in the top 10 in practice, so he'll want to pick it up a little bit.
Let's see what Leif Peterson can do. He sits in 12th, crosses the line one more time. That one not counting for him. He's only got time for 1 more lap, though. What about Holland? Holland coming up and across a 2-0 flat is his quickest. Oh, he must have had an off somewhere. Another lap time that does not count for the number 18. Looking through to see who else is going to be coming through soon here to finish a lap. Abner Acosta, who's now currently in 4th, is climbing the hill. See what the number 5 has got. Winner for last round at Mid-Ohio. It is a 2 flat 2. He's about 2/10 off of his quickest. Only one driver in qualifying, at least, has broken that 2-minute mark.
Yeah, and then also we had Diaz was able to do that in practice. So Isola's going to have a draft going up a hill here to see if he can improve on these 159.9 as he comes across the line. It doesn't look like he's able to do so. 36 cars here today, Joe. Remember, this is the top of 2 races going on, almost a split, if you will. 36 cars, but Danny Duchenne isn't in the session, so it will be a 35-car field, and Gary Schilling is looking like he's going to opt to not turn a time, as we see other drivers finishing up their final times of the session.
The other thing about this draft we haven't talked about a whole lot is the fuel saving. And so far, Acosta's been, it sort of seemed to be his MO. He sat behind the leader both at Laguna Seca and at Mid-Ohio, which aren't known for offering much in the way of fuel saving. This place, I wonder if that could be a huge advantage.
Yeah, definitely could be. Of course, maybe for that reason, Diaz is content with not being starting from pole position. Maybe he could play that card, and Acosta, of course, is all the way down in 4th as well. Checkered flag is out on this session, so flying laps will count. We have a few fast drivers working their way through the line to the line. Michael Diaz won't be one of them. He's on his out lap.
Kenny Rodriguez crosses. And as we go to Francisco, see what Iannicelli has got underneath him. He's a little bit farther down the order. Currently fastest at a 2:20.7, so he's the last driver with a time right now. If this one's clean, it should at least improve his time, and it does, to a 2:04.7, which bumps him up to 3rd.
Munoz had a horrible exit out of the final turn there. If he was on the good lap, I think that would have killed it.
I guess it's a 2 flat 3. Yep, it did. He's a 2 flat 6 on that one. Carollo crosses and does not improve. A lot of drivers having off tracks I'm seeing. Looks like it is rather difficult to get a clean one as Swaby now finishes up his.
Yeah, well, when you have a track with only 14 turns, and honestly, when I come to think about it, only 10 of those are actually turns. You've got to nail all of them perfectly to get a quick time, to get up there on the board. And that means pushing it to the limit, and that means some drivers are going to make mistakes.
Linden able to get himself to 11th, and I think he's the last one to be able to set a time. I do see James LeBlond out there getting ready to finish up in his 007. And I think he actually is good to finish this one up from what I'm seeing on our timing sheet. So as he comes around out of turn 14, let's see what this Porsche's got. He's still got time to get to the line to finish this hot lap. So up the hill, and the checkered flag waves for James. But it looks like that was his final lap on the one before. So we are done with the qualifying. Our grid is now set. Let's go through the starting order. Christian Eisler is going to be on the pole this time, continuing to move forward, repeatedly improve this season. He has got his nose to the grindstone. Michael Diaz will be starting next to him, one of our championship contenders, with Diego Garrido in P3. Abner Acosta, first time the teammates have been separated by anybody in the qualifying this season. He'll start P4. Fernando Borda will be starting 5th. Next to him, it's Federico Montini on the outside of row 3. Row 4 has David Holland to the inside with Anthony Bassano in 8th. Paulo Munoz will be P9. Elijah Mitchell rounds out the top 10.
Lyndon Swaby, after getting that lap time late in the session, will start 11th. John Ambrose also improved from the last time we saw him. He'll be starting 12th. Keith Peterson will be starting 13th ahead of Lucas Bacigalupo. Sean Romig will be starting from 15th place ahead of a 007. LeBlond, James LeBlond, not in an Aston Martin, no, in that Porsche, starting 16th. The 666 of Horatio Calkin, he'll be trying to come through the field like a bat out of hell, I'd like to say, in that 666 car from 17th on the grid. Ignacio Rodriguez-Reyes will be starting from 18th ahead of Sean DeHarmo and Ted Lowendick rounding out the top 20.
And you've got Jeff Carollo in 21st, Eric Luke next to him in 22nd. James Hebb starts P23. Stacy Dunnigan, starting in 24th, and Kenny Rodriguez in 25th. Then it's Brett Thurman, P26. In 27th, it'll be Joey Trungale at the drop of the green. Jose Malbron will be starting in 28th. Then in the row after them, you've got Timothy Hargrave in 29th. Rounding out the top 30, Sam, is going to be Jonathan Almanar.
And Donald Dawson will kick off after that, starting in 31st place. Mark File will be starting 32nd, ahead of Francisco Yanniselli. Spencer Semkowicz will be the last driver to turn the time in qualifying, just about 5 seconds off of pole position, which isn't much considering the length of his track. Danny Duchenne is not in a session, so he won't be starting, but Gary Schilling will be, so essentially he'll be starting 35th.
So we wait for the cars to take off on the pace lap around here. Once again, want to give a little bit of a thank you to our sponsors for this season, and a shout out to them. If you want to check them out and see what they can do for you, it is the Simulation Motorsports Affinity. That is SIMMSA, and they are found at SIMMSA.net. And of course, providing some nice prizes is ButtKicker. And if you want to find out more about them and what their product can do for your sim rig, look for them at thebuttkicker.com. Porsche pace car now taking off to lead them around the pace lap, and taking a bit for that second row to get going before they eventually hit the throttle, thankfully. Yeah, that gives us a good picture right there, Sam, of what you were talking about earlier, the pit lane and not wanting to run out of fuel. Look at how steep it is just coming over the crest to the entry. We've seen some tears happen out of that one.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting that that is a very long pit road, and the cars on the main straight are carrying a lot of speed. You do not want to be down pit road more than once during this race. No, I mean, you don't want to be down pit road more than once during any race. These drivers only have to pit once. However, that being said, this track especially, you're going to lose a bunch of time.
They come through turn 3. You can see this large field weaving onto one of the long straights, which is the Moraine sweep down towards turn 5, one of the more popular passing zones. The other thing that this large of a field does, though, is this first lap, we tend to associate the first corner as being a danger zone. But for me, Sam, I almost feel like 5 sees a lot more pileups here.
Yeah, and that's because it's a downhill braking zone going into this corner right now. So this is really the third turn you approach on the track, but it's just downhill. It's carrying a high amount of speed to get into the corner, and it's just, easy there. Get it wrong, to be honest. And there's a runoff area there, but that doesn't always help you.
It certainly doesn't help you save time. If you overshoot it, you're going to have to be crawling back through some gravel. And the blind corner of turn 6 they come, and then into the hurry downs out of 7. There is definite elevation change throughout this circuit. This is another one where those downhill braking zones can catch a few drivers out. And now they come up to the carousel, having to follow closely. In IndyCar, we hear about it being difficult trying to follow behind the car ahead just because of the wake. What do you think in these GTE cars? A little bit easier, or is it a serious concern?
A little bit easier, but I mean, it's still going to be a concern. These cars are very aerodynamic. But that being said, if these drivers have had plenty of seat time in these cars and can get used to it, hopefully they'll be able to pull something off. I just flicked through the field, Joe. I wanted to see if anyone had their car in high gear or anything, was trying to save fuel. That's not the case. Everyone's in first and second gear. I wonder if they're trying to do that to warm the tires up, perhaps, because these GT cars don't always like cold tires.
Fascinating to hear that. I would have expected that they would have been saving fuel, but they now go through the kettle bottoms out of the kink. Earlier over this weekend, we unfortunately saw a little bit of a problem through there with drivers getting into one another.
Eisler, sorry Joe, I've just got to say this. Eisler is really backing off of a pace car. He wants to control this field.
Huh. wonder if he's doing that so that he can get a really good jump out of turn 14. You're right. Look at that. You can't even see the pace car over Bill Mitchell Bend as we ride on the roof of Eisler. So the Iceman trying to do his best to play some tricks with the field to see if that can give him the edge. They now come out of the final turn, and indeed, he does not wait at all. He accelerates away immediately up the hill as the green flag comes out here at Road America. A little bit of a squeeze behind them as Garrido trying to get all the way over to the left, and Diaz is already there. That's going to box Diaz in as they both start to approach our leader, but they have to brake, and Michael is stronger than Diego. Gives him a little shove, almost pushes him off track. That means now his teammate Acosta has a run up the inside as they come to turn 3. This is to settle the podium, and out of that corner, momentum goes back in favor of Diaz.
Yeah, I'm sure Diaz isn't too fond of Diego right now because Diego was really squeezing him. That could have been very ugly if those two had clipped fenders down the main straight. But you know what? It's worked for Diego. He didn't do anything wrong. He's got up to second position, and now he'll try and target Christian Eisler as we go into this heartbreaking zone that you and I are both worried about, Joe.
Watching to see if anybody in the field has any issues in here, but so far a lot of respect given between the drivers. I haven't seen any contact or any loss of control. So everyone through safely for the first lap, at least halfway through the lap, as they go through the hurry downs and up to the carousel for the first time. Eisler not able to break away from Garrido. Diaz is the one that settled out in front of Acosta. In fact, Acosta backed off early down into turn 5, I noticed.
We've seen Diego make a lot of passes already this season, some cleaner than others, some more aggressive than others. He is not afraid to pass cars, but he hasn't done it for the lead so far this season. He might be about to do that, because as they come into Canada corner, he's got to run on Eisler. He's not going to stick his nose to the inside yet, though. Maybe he knows that if he did that, Eisler would be able to counter-attack him down the front straight. He could just be biding his time.
Also behind, just swinging it through Canada corner nice and safely as the leaders come around the final turn and onto the front stretch. And Garrido this time is the one with a mistake, going wide off of 14. Diaz sees it. Could this be the time for revenge for last lap? He's got the run, but covering off the inside once again. Now he moves back to the racing line. Garrido decides to leave the door open, and he doesn't need to worry about it as he wasn't close enough. Diaz stays in third.
Yeah, Diego just apexed the final turn far too early, but the reason they're swerving, of course, is they're responding to whatever Eisler is doing in front of them. Eisler swerving a little bit down the straights, trying to break that slipstream to them. It's so valuable with these long straights around here that Diego's pretty much, he has to follow wherever Eisler goes.
Yet again, we've been seeing a little bit of a closing rate between Diaz and Garrido on these straights, but he's not able to take advantage of it down into 5. Now they come over 6. Ooh, and a great exit out of 6 for Garrido. He goes from a defense to an attack as he gets up behind Eisler coming down the hurry downs. That car's just a little bit too far away for this lap.
First 15 cars or so all ran in single file, 16 come back. We had some battling going through turn 5. I think they've still been clean so far. Well, as I say that, we've got one car in the wall where Jonathan Almanar has spun coming out of turn 7, I believe that is, and in the wall.
Bad enough that he had to take a tow as well. That sent him all the way to the back of the field. Let's take a look at the replay. Wasn't that hard of a hit? I'm not sure why he took a tow. Just wasn't happy with the handling of the car. Didn't feel like trying to push on with it. Let's see the Virginia's driver. A lot of battling up in front of him too, so he could have taken advantage of some stuff if he stuck with it. There you saw him swing off to the side and just nosed it in.
Yeah, I almost wonder if he got stuck there, but I'll tell you what, we need to go back up front live now because Eisler did not get a good run out of the final corner, and Diego is looking for the lead on the outside as they head into turn 1, start lap number 3, and Diego is out in front, squeezes the door and closes it. Eisler has no choice but to back off, and now he might lose second to Diaz.
Ooh, some real trust from Diego to hope that Christian would give him space, and a shot to behind from Diaz. That checks Diaz up now as his teammate Acosta gets behind him, but he doesn't carry his speed. He lifts as he gets up back there, and all three of them stay in position.
Diaz was lucky it was his teammate behind him. Anyone else would have capitalized on that and tried to take third place.
Now with Michael looking up at second place, Eisler. So the Iceman only led temporarily, but for the first time we're seeing Diego in his 317 managing to push through ahead of everybody else. Interestingly, I was checking to see how the battle of the makes of cars was going. It is very Ferrari weighted here. That must be pretty good in a straight line because it's only broken up by a single Ford.
Oh, contact for 13th. Lyndon Swaby has spun at the bottom of a hill, and that's causing a bit of drama as cars are trying to go by him. He was helped off, and now he finally backs off into the gravel trap.
That was Fredez and LeBlanc who narrowly avoided him, although they got into each other in the process. This is Swaby. Yeah, he was stuck in a horrible place. Oh, and there's the second contact between the other two cars.
Right before that happened, Elijah Mitchell, who had been running in 10th, had a bad exit out of turn 5, and John Ambrose took opportunity. So you talk about Ferraris being in top 10. John Ambrose has made it up there now.
So we come back live. John has not had the best of results so far this season, both in this series and in the truck series here in PRL that he's raced. As we can see, the Corridos now set the fastest lap. But last week, Mid-Ohio was a bit of a redeemer, and if he can keep up this top 10, this is not too shabby.
Yeah, that was some very clean racing, honestly, by Diego early on here. Great move for the lead on Eisler. A little bit of contact between himself and Diaz, but you could almost blame Diaz for that a little bit for turning in on him. So Diego takes the lead, goes on to set the fastest lap of a race, and right now is holding a pretty good half-second cushion over the rest of the field. Looks like Diego could be in for a good race today.
As far as form is looking fantastic out there. But it's less than 10 minutes into this one. There's still a lot that could happen. And speaking of a lot happening, if we go back to around 23rd, I think we just had a spin. Yep, Kenny Rodriguez, who now falls down the order in turn 5. He's all the way to 32nd now. He was in the midst of a bunch of cars coming into turn 5. That was with Luke Lowendick. I see Dunnigan in there. Looks like Malbron. It was only Rodriguez who came out the worst.
All these drivers racing hard, of course, if they can just gain a couple more positions and break into the top 20, they could be sitting pretty for the second half of a race. If attrition happens or mistake happens to others, unfortunately for Kenneth, it happened to him this time around.
Had to wait a long time for that track to clear. You could see all the cars going by, and he knew he really couldn't afford to try and pull into the racing line. The Pennsylvania driver eventually settles into 34th and last on track, as we've only had the one DNF of Almanar so far.
Ignacio Fredes must have had a whale of a start, Joe. He's slowly been dropping back, but he's still ahead of where he started. We're watching another battle here, though, between Pisano in front of Munoz.
I think that's Pisano behind Montini. Nope, you're right. Oh, no, it is Pisano and Montini. And he had to go at him down into turn 1. That didn't work. He gets another bite here on the Moraine sweep.
Oh, we just had to change for second. Eisler must have had the bad exit out of turn 3 because Diaz just swept on by him.
We'll go to that in a second. Oh, almost chops him off there as these two continue to try and settle it out. Once this battle finally settles down, we can get to that replay, but Pisano is not going to let us look away. Now, finally, Montini able to fend him off out of 6.
Yes, I think we want to see if anything happened to Eisler coming out of turn 3 this lap.
Let's take a look at the replay. It looks like Diaz was already very, very close. I'm not seeing anything really out of the norm. I think Diaz just nailed it.
Well, that's bad news for Diego. Because Diaz is coming for him now. Maybe it took a little while for Diaz's tires to come up to temperature or whatever, but now he's finally back in his form that we're used to seeing him, and he has ran Diego down for this lead.
It's only been half a lap since he's gotten by, and already he's chopped it down to about 0.3 of a second. This train really hasn't broken up since the start. It goes all the way back to Borda in 5th and just marginally includes Holland in P6 before you get a decent gap. Ooh, a good run for Diaz.
Yeah.
And Garrido's going to try to cover him off. This will be the second time they've done this. This has shades of the first lap, first corner. This time Diaz goes for the undercut, tries to get underneath him, and it doesn't quite work out, but at least he didn't get shoved off this time.
Yeah, learned from the first time, but let's see if he can learn from what he did last lap and repeat that move on Garrido this time. Last time he went to the outside. This time he's thinking about it too. This is a bit later down the straight though, Joe. I'm not sure this will work as easily.
It's going to be tough to get it done. They're awful close to each other under braking into 5. They almost come together yet again, and he has to shove his way back on course as Garrido is trying to hog the right side of the track through 6. Once again, a little bit of a tip. Elbows are out today here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'd love to know if there was any radio communication between these two right now. This is I'm not saying this is personal yet, but it's spicy.
It really is. They got to be careful too, because they've still got Eisler, Acosta, Borda, and Holland close back there. They could take advantage if they start slowing each other up too much. We ride on board with Holland, the last car in the train, as we now get a driver's eye view through the kink.
Yeah, and let's not count any of these top 6 out, especially Acosta back there in 4th place. He could just be saving fuel for we know. Diaz, I don't think he has any intentions of saving fuel right now. He has intentions of leading this race, but Diego's already showing him that he's not going to make it easy.
So we come back to those top 2 out of the final corner, went a little wide at the apex for Garrido. Smelling blood in the water. Diaz already on the hunt. He pulls up behind him. This time, no defense. Garrido lets him have the inside. The number 30 has a good shot at taking the lead away. And is that a lift?
Yeah, but you know why I think he's doing it, Joe? I wonder if he's trying to set him up for a run out of turn 3.
Well, we'll find out in a moment, but back in 8th, we had another change for positions. Montini and Munoz, and Munoz goes completely off track and hands the spot right back to Montini. Or does he? Montini's got the inside, and I don't think this is over, Sam.
No, it's good battles going on all throughout the top 10 and not missing anything up front. Diaz still holds the lead down, so Munoz going to go to the inside, but there's no room there, and he has to go into the grass. I think Montini will get away with that because he never drifted from the inside. He pretty much told Munoz, you're not passing me on the inside.
Wow. What have these drivers been eating before the race? This is wild stuff. Montini still holds on to 8th. Munoz is 9th. So we ride on board. I think we were looking back from Munoz there from... down out of the carousel. He's going to get another shot. Let's see what he can do. Coming down through the kink and into Canada corner. That car is looking awful far back. I don't think he's got a shot this time through. We jump up to 3rd while those two have separated themselves. Because Christian Eisler, who seems to be moving backwards a little bit, despite good qualifying pace here, Sam, he's lost 2 positions, and already Abner has been applying some pressure.
Yeah, and I wonder if this is when Abner needs to start doing something about it, because the top 2 are breaking away, not much, but a little bit. It's 4/10 of a second actually between Diaz and Diego, half a second between Diego and Isla. And, you know, if that continues to grow by a few tenths, that means these drivers 4th, 5th, 6th on back will be a few seconds down the road. So if they do want to keep up with these top two, if Diaz and Garrido can pull out a little bit, they might want to do something about it. Rodriguez in trouble.
It's the second time Kenny Rodriguez has not been facing forward. Oh, and this time it was the kink. I think you're going to see a little too much curb. Ooh, he has a very close moment with Gary Schilling as well. We need to get an onboard once we watch the initial incident here. There it goes around. Woo! Oh, and he got a clip from that second car. I didn't see who that was. This to perfection. Great heads up. That allows the 17 to continue. As we come back to the lead now, things haven't changed a whole lot. It is still Acosta very close to the back of Isler for third, while half a second separates Garrido from Diaz.
To clarify that point on the second car, I think it might have been Francisco Iannicelli. He's the driver racing behind Schilling right now. For the record, these drivers at the back probably not going to go a lap down this race just due to the length of the circuit. So that's good news for our leaders. Won't have to deal with much lap traffic.
LeBlanc did go a lap down as he already took a pit stop. I'm not sure what caused that. Montini and Munoz have been a source of excitement themselves. What about this time across the line? Because it looks like Munoz has recollected that gap he lost. Looks for the exit inside that Ferrari, and though he gets a decent one, that's a good enough one for a pass.
If Acosta wants to keep up with the leaders, he is setting himself up to do it. He is right on the rear wing of Christian Isler as they're about to go through turn 3. So if Acosta wants to take third place and keep up with the leaders, I think he's got to do it now. If we hear him backing off, Joe, well, actually, now I say that he's a little bit further back than I think he'd like to be.
He can still make something happen. They're getting their speed up 165 miles an hour before they hit the brakes, and he does take a look down into 5, but it is not fruitful yet.
Yeah, it could be a sign. Well, he could just be trying to intimidate Christian out of the way, or it could be a sign that, hey, yeah, I do want to keep up with these two leaders because they are starting to break away. Diaz now has a 1 second lead on Garrido, and it's going to be hard for the drivers third on back to make up, you know, that kind of time in pit lane, especially considering we're only a third of the way through this race.
We have a lot of time left to go. In fact, we're only just getting to the pit window for those who dare pit extremely early, which is a rarity in this series. Most everybody tends to wait late. Ooh, this is a good run behind Acosta as Borda is looking strong. And we had cut away. Actually, let's stay on this right here that we see, because this side-by-side battle is great down in the field. This is between Swaby and Brett Thurman. Oh, and Linden trying the outside where there's just no grip on the carousel. Not going to quite work for him. Another try. Thurman just ahead as the Speedworks driver gets ready to brake for Canada corner. Swaby decides not to go for it this time. Better run coming out of Canada corner. Bill Mitchell bend is very risky. He knows it, and Linden backs out and loses all that he just worked for. Meanwhile, Munoz not giving up here, Sam.
Yeah, he was taking a look down on the outside into turn 1. He kind of fades a little bit as they go into turn 3. Let's see if he can try and get a good exit, though. He does, and Montini can't defend in time.
Get out your dancing shoes, because these two drivers, they certainly seem to like the tango, but I'm not sure how well this is going to end if they keep being this feisty. Federico Montini covers off the inside, but does this hurt his exit? Munoz seems to think so. Takes a little bit of a look to the inside, but then backs out of it. Montini has it covered off through 6. Now finally backing off the 3-2-1, has to square up and try again later. Some company back there. The double lot of John Ambrose starting to gain.
There was almost, yeah, that was almost contact for 13th place between Leif Peterson and Lucas Bacigalupo. They almost had a bit of a coming together there in turn 8.
On board of Ambrose. Looking ahead. Munoz had his best chance early in the lap, and now, unfortunately, it looks like the latter half of the lap is not working as well for that Ferrari. They come now up to Bill Mitchell Bend, back to where it kicked off before on the front stretch. Let's see if maybe he's got his car trimmed out and can try something in a straight line.
I don't think that was as good of an exit as Montini, but he's still within striking range, getting a nice toe up the hill. He might not be able to make anything happen into turn 1, but there's still plenty of passing opportunities left on this track. Montini, though, making sure he covers off the inside. I think he should have this corner.
It was awful shallow. Here comes the over-under. Munoz carries a little bit of speed, but isn't fully overlapped. Montini still doesn't shut the door quite yet. Leaves him space at the apex even. And behind them, John Ambrose also making a mistake and falling backwards. Still, a great run by Munoz, now ducking off to the right. Montini almost forced him off the track one time before, but this time he's got to overlap as they come down into turn 5. Munoz trying to go deep on the brakes the long way around. And again, the door is shut.
Yeah, so that mistake from John Ambrose behind him has allowed Elijah Mitchell to run him down. So Elijah's running in 11th place. Also got 12th and 13th by them running close on track, Sean Romig and Leif Peterson. So plenty of battles still left to decide in the second half of this.
Look back, really heating up. We wanted to cover some of it earlier in the first few laps, but the top 5 were so close together and swapping positions we couldn't peel away. One of those drivers in the mid-pack, Leif Peterson, that we've gone and checked on here in 13th. Still looking to try and gain on Romig, who we talked about earlier, having that contact.
Yeah, well, Leif Peterson had a scary moment in turn 8 last lap. I mentioned it where Lucas Bacigalupo was really late on the brakes, and there was almost contact between them. I think we got trouble back here, Drew.
Solo car incident for Timothy Hargrave. This is out of the Hurry Downs. And does he stay out of the tires? I think he just barely does. Let's see here from the chopper. Looks like the curb starts to upset it. And the BMW doesn't touch anything.
Diego has run our leader back down just a little bit. Not enough to make a passing opportunity anymore, but Diaz was sitting pretty a little while ago. He had a 1-second lead, and now Diego says, no, not so fast.
4 tenths separating the number 30 from the 317. They hit turn 5 yet again. I think the top 3 are running away from the cars behind them a little bit better, though. Looking at Eisler, and though Acosta was close to him before, either he's intentionally backed off or he just can't keep pace.
This race is still anyone in the top 6 is for the taking, as long as none of them make a mistake and kind of bottle up the cars behind them. And that's why they want to be, you know, at the front of that train, I think. Oh, bit of a moment there.
Yeah, Munoz is back on the rear of Montini once more. Oh, and Montini goes wide, coming out of the Hurry Downs, but it's exactly the wrong place that Munoz wants. It's a very short straight here into the carousel. He could not capitalize. Now they come down the back stretch into the kink. And once again, he has to back off. This has been so tantalizingly close. Through Canada corner. They still have not been caught by Ambrose since he made that initial mistake. He's been still looking to recover as he trails the car, or trains the car of Elijah Mitchell just behind him. Two pairs fighting for what is 8th and 9th and 10th and 11th. Munoz with another decent run up the front stretch. This time Montini not defending entirely. He drifts over a little bit, just giving a little bit of a warning sign over Munoz. Now back to the racing line, and Munoz runs out of straightaway.
Diaz and Garrido, our two leaders, got a little bit closer together that lap because the lapped car of James LeBlanc was making his way to the pits, held Diaz up a bit. They got very close on track, but Diaz still holding the lead. And as I say that, Garrido's down the inside. In turn 5, he takes a peek, but Diaz still holding on to the top spot.
Let's take a look at a replay on that. Garrido was a long ways back. I wonder if that was almost unintentional. Look at this.
Yeah, I didn't see him making a move there at all, but he tried.
Great heads up by Diaz. He gave him space.
Oh, and as we come back live, Diaz just got a little bit squirrely, exiting hurry downs, and that allows Garrido to run him down again. He can't really go side by side through the kink in one of these cars, and even if he wanted to, Diego's not close enough. And as those words come out my mouth, I realize if anyone's going to try it, it'll probably be Diego.
Oh, wow. What a driver to introduce to the series. Now, I believe he did race a little bit last season as well. I need to double check on my stats, but I'm pretty sure I saw his name show up. But Diego certainly very hot driver right now with a lot of speed underneath him. They come back to the front stretch. See if Diego maybe tries something this time. He's a little far back. That doesn't look like the best of it. Oh, and we got a problem with Mark File, another driver struggling in the hurry downs.
Yeah, it seems to be the big trouble spot for these drivers right now. Seeing more trouble here than even turn 5.
Oh, that was a hard hit. Straight into concrete, too. Trying to keep his foot in it. Looks like he's moving the grass. Bad bounce. Whew. And it goes.
Well, if Trace Elliott can come back from it, I'm sure Mark can too. Come on, Mark.
Hopefully he doesn't have to pit maneuver anybody to get there. Now, Mark File did have to take a tow to the pits, unfortunately, so he's going to lose a lot of positions.
Diaz is very deep into the braking zone. That was a mistake from Diaz just as we came back, and Diego's going to take advantage of it.
Side by side. Oh, and they come together.
And they both go off and open the door for Eisler.
Eisler through. They come back on. At least Garrido does, and that slows up Acosta. Borda stuck in there, seeing if he could take the position as well. He's going to sneak through. And now David Holland also on the back of Garrido. But Christian Eisler taking the lead. Let's look at the replay. Oh. Kicked off down into turn 5. Yeah, I'd say you're right. Looking at that it looks like Diaz just unfortunately got a little squirrely. And there you can see them still side by side through 6. And I think there is a tiny little bit of netcode that kicked it off at first. Diaz did get back going. He didn't hit the wall, or if he did, it was very slight. But he's in 6th now. And, well, did Garrido give him a spot? Did Garrido slow down intentionally? No, Garrido had a big accident. This was in the kink. He clouded the Armco. I thought at first he was being a good sportsman or something, thinking maybe he owed him the position back, but ooh, that is not good.
Yeah, but he's still running in 7th after that.
He is. Let's keep an eye on his lap time to see what he can run, because he isn't quite close enough for the slipstream of Diaz right now. So watch it one more time.
probably been a few laps since he's been disturbed by dirty air through that kink, and who knows, maybe his alignment could have been kicked out. Now his car's definitely got damaged. So the new running order is on the left side of your screen there. The top 7 have really switched around. It's Iceland, Acosta, Border, Holland. Those 4 snuck by. And Pisano is in 5th. I don't think we've mentioned him at all during the broadcast. And now Diaz and Garrido have dropped down to 6th and 7th. If I was Garrido, Joe, I'd pit now. If he thinks that damage could be affecting him in any way, he could come in and, you know, get that repaired.
Yeah, I'm with you. It might as well pit early at this point. We also had an incident that we don't need a replay on with Stacey Dunnigan. He has come into the pits. I'm not sure what exactly caused that, or actually maybe this is a scheduled stop. Maybe Stacey's our first one to come in and out and get work done. Meanwhile, we had a change for position with Ambrose. Or an attempt at a change of position. He was battling with Munoz, it looks like. And where did Montini go? He ran away. Montini is miles up the road. So, okay, so it was John who was in front. While we weren't looking, we were so distracted by the action up front, and Munoz manages to get back by.
As we watch this, I can tell you Michael Diaz has came into the pit. Now, I can understand why Garrido would want to stay out, Joe. If you do short pit, obviously you run the risk of coming out in heavy traffic. Diaz is obviously willing to accept that risk, whereas Garrido is not. The good news, if you do short pit here at Road America, of course, is a bit easier to make passes. In fact, we have one going on right now between Munoz and Ambrose. Ambrose down the inside as they head on into turn 5.
In the popcorn position, that's Mitchell behind him. Ambrose on the inside in the red and white Ferrari. Black and white goes a little deep. Pablo Munoz can't get the spot back. In fact, he opens the door. Here goes Mitchell. Elijah now taking 9th place. And look at the gap that John builds very quickly after that. That bumps the double lot into 8th place. Just turn his number sideways, and that's where he is.
Yeah, and look at all that traffic now building up behind him. We've got Romig, Peterson, and yeah, I think, well, actually more cars than just that. Elijah Mitchell, Munoz are all in that. All of these drivers are drivers that could be in the top 10, and Acosta running in 2nd place here now with Border, and David Holland is in 4th. I think he just had a bit of an off that lost him a bit of time. Did he stop three? And he's off again, yeah.
Big off. You can see there in the background just trailing dust behind him.
And that's a good decision what Holland does there. He realizes, you know, that's going to cost him speed all the way down the front straight. Might as well come in.
Yeah, he could get some potential damage repaired if he hit the underside of the car too hard. Oh, it's bouncing around there. Yeah, immediate decision. Takes it in, hits the limiter, and he's still working his way down for service. If it tells you just how long this pit lane is, now he's getting to his box. There it is.
Good news from Michael Diaz fans is when he came out of from his pit stop, he has emerged in clear traffic. The next car in front of him is Donald Olsen.
A lot of drivers pitting. Ambrose, one of them. I think John's actually already back out. But did John even stop in his stall? I think John missed his stall. He kept going through.
That is a huge shame because he was having a nice top 10 running going. Let's get a replay and get confirmation on that.
It looked like he spotted it at first. And I saw him pull over, but then he never stops. He just continues on. See, here he goes. Like he's looking for it here. This is one of the more bizarre ways to miss your pit that I've seen.
Yeah, he was miles off, I think, there, because he started all the way back in the 12th place, if I remember correctly. So you know, his pit stall would have been further up pit road than that.
Yeah, you're
Our
right.
top 3
12th
leaders
place.
stay out.
They've been awful close together. Eisler still leads Acosta ahead of Borda, but your top 3 are separated by half a second. They come around turn 1. And from what I know of Acosta, I suspect the way he's been hanging back, this is intentional. He is saving some fuel as he rides in the wake of the Iceman. See, Romig and Peterson have just pitted. Carollo, Ebb, a bunch of drivers in.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what Diego's doing staying out, honestly. I think he's losing a lot of time and he needs to get that car in the pits and get it fixed. Diaz, the other driver involved in that incident, already has done that, and it'll be interesting to see where he comes out once they all cycle through.
With all these front runners in their stalls, that promotes David Holland to the highest pitter position. So it jumps him into 12th. Behind him, Diaz, has already taken his stop. So that should potentially cycle Diaz back around to where I think he was before, which was roughly 5th or 6th.
Which he won't be too happy about, but you know, when you do have a bad race, you got to try and make the most of it. All right, here come our leaders down into Canada corner. See if any of them choose to pit this time. Eisler leading Acosta, leading Border. They have been in this order pretty much throughout most of the race.
Border really is the David versus the Goliath here today, because again, he's the lone Ford up in a sea of Ferraris. Even right now with the pit stops, the top 9 save for Fernando are all Ferraris, and they're going to continue on and go for another lap. They can go for probably about 3 or 4 more.
Pizzano comes in, Garrido comes in, finally. And we got the battle back here.
Yep, this is for 15th. Peterson chasing Mitchell.
These are drivers, I believe, have already pit.
They have indeed. Quinn, Ratio is in. So is Ted Lowendick. So maybe the cars can't make it as far as we thought. Duhamel also pitting. I see Jose Malbron. Holland, who has already completed his stop, now starts to cycle back through with everybody coming into the pits ahead of him.
I'm sorry, Joe. Garrido has came out of the pits and he's right alongside Diaz.
Uh-oh.
Well, Diaz has got by, and I think that might be all she wrote, because I think Diaz is suffering less from damage than Garrido.
Well, fascinating that we kept talking about Garrido losing time, though, because I would have thought that the laps that Diaz has run on his own, he would have gotten far away from him, unless Diaz has significant damage as well.
Well, Diaz must have damage, I would imagine, Joe, because otherwise why would he be short pit? The only reason I could see him short pitting is if he knew something was wrong with the car.
They come through 7. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got a good battle for 15 still going on between Sean Romig. He just made a move on Elijah Mitchell for that position.
That's for 11th that Romig just took. Take a look at how that pass took place. Looks like he took multiple corners.
Yeah, we'll just take a quick replay of it, though, because our 3 race leaders are in. Eisler, Acosta, and Border, nose to tail. Will they come out that way? As you see that move performed, now we're coming back to live action. Here they all come into their pit stalls. Eisler in front.
Border
did
missed
we have
his
someone
spot.
miss it?
Yep.
That's not good.
Big backup from the number 25. So
we'll keep an eye on.
There we go.
David Holland as well. and see where he comes out with relation to these three. He's working his way up a hill.
And Acosta takes it. Acosta had the quickest stop of all three of them. Oh, and Eisler messing up the exit means that Borda can maybe try and sneak into second as well. Borda with a very quick stop himself. Forget he was riding in the wake of the cars ahead.
So the driver, the driver who's came out in fourth in all this, Joe, is Anthony Pisano.
Just outside the podium. And there you see the pit stop differences between just Borda and Eisler.
Oh, and off goes Borda, and that gives second back to Eisler.
I don't think this is going to be over yet. Borda was clearly holding back a little bit there to try and save some of that fuel. So as they come out of turn 7 through the hurry downs into 8, close enough to attack this time, but boy does the Iceman have to keep an eye on his mirrors. And if they do keep battling, Pisano could start to run them down. He is too far back to attack now, but I'm sure he'd love the idea of the two of them swapping back and forth.
Had a bit of a battle going back here for 11th place still, Joe. We called up with this a couple of laps ago. Well, it's still brewing. Sean Ronig has gone by Elijah Mitchell.
These two seem to have got magnets on their cars for each other. They've been battling for much of this race now.
So my question is, how many of our viewers wrote Abner Acosta off for this sim when he was just riding around in fourth place?
I didn't. I've watched enough of him so far to kind of figure out his game, and I think he's figured out the game as well. This used to be how these GTE races went, with a lot of fuel saving. Jesper Derlicka, famous for that, the champion here a few seasons ago. And Acosta must have gone back and watched some replays. Well, this is horrible news for Diaz, because Acosta is looking like he will take max points if he keeps this up, while Diaz, who has managed to at least be close to him last round at Mid-Ohio and finish in second, has a little bit wider of a separation between the two of them with this sixth place that he currently has on hold.
And the one good thing for Diaz is he has been able to break away from Garrido a little bit, so his car's holding up a little bit better. The bad news is he's still 4 seconds back of David Holland.
Let's see what the difference is between Holland and Diaz now that their pit stops are done, actually. And actually, Holland is incredibly consistent. He's done 2:01.7s ever since he exited the pits. Diaz, though, is quicker every lap I'm seeing. 2:01.4, 2:01.6, 2:01.4. We're going to look at the comparison now. Of course, obviously, 16 and 17 a little off with the pit stops, but there you see 18, 19, and 20. Diaz regularly picking him off.
The Eisler border battle might be about to rear its head again, because Border is right on the rear bumper of Eisler as they work their way through turn 14 and come to complete lap 21. Which, by the way, as they cross the line with about 17 minutes left, means we're looking at about 9 laps left to go.
Fascinating thing about this is not only is he the highest rated Ford as he closes in and then backs off into turn 1, but Borda is the only Ford running today. Oh, we've had a problem with Bacigalupo down in Canada Corner. This was the number 9 car who has had to take a tow, but it's a single car incident, which really doesn't produce any damage because I don't think he hits the wall. It's the red, white, and green Ferrari that you see on screen.
He was running in 13th place when this happened. As you mentioned, not the worst of it. But then let's stay on this replay, actually. Well, because Border has taken second place back from Isla. Isla backed off on the run down to turn 5 when he got alongside him and yielded the position to Fernando Borda.
Here we go. Now we've got a peek at it. Just had a great exit out of 3. Isler didn't even go defensive. Saw the writing on the wall. Eventually backs out of it. Wonder if Isler just thinking a little bit of big picture here. He's been having some decent races. And Munoz, oh no, Pablo, after the great fighting that he's had out on track. Now, he spun in front of Garrido, but I thought I saw Garrido off course before that.
Yeah, Garrido has lost a position this lap. Montini's gone by him.
It's 2 separate incidents. This is Garrido's. This happens just before what we saw with Munoz there in the replay. And then he gets one of those spots right back. Wow, that car was all over the place before he could get it back to the black stuff. And there's Munoz around in front of him. How bizarre.
Could have been distracted watching Garrido rejoin the circuit.
Could have been. Regardless, this now sorts it out to Garrido being in 8th and Munoz returns in 11th. Peterson gets promoted tonight because of it. Peterson, having qualified in 13th, is having himself a nice tidy little race, at least from what we've seen so far.
10th still up for grabs between Sean Romig and Paulo Munoz, recovering from his spin. Let's see if Munoz can do anything with Romig.
He's already got some practice in wheel-to-wheel action out here. It is Ferrari versus Porsche. Romig leading. We look at him through the windscreen of Munoz. They come down the Moraine sweep. A half-hearted move to the inside from Romig, but no real cover off. Munoz tries to find the apex, parks it right in front of him, and takes the place away. That gets him back into the top 10.
Yeah, Romig didn't put up too much of a fight. He stuck his nose out there again as they headed into turn 6 to see if anything was going to happen, but it wasn't. So Munoz holds that position down. Meanwhile, the whole time, all these guys, I think, will be running down Diego a little bit with his damage in 8th position. So we'll see if that could end up being a 3-way fight later on in the race.
Just a quick update as well. Isler, ever since being passed, he's not fallen away a whole drastic lot, but he is still 6/10, 5/10 behind around most corners. The 727 is looking like he's not quite on the same pace as Borda. If he loses the draft even more, that'll be really telling, because right now he could be getting a tiny hint of the slipstream to give him that extra little oomph.
Yeah, well, of course, the other thing these two have got to think about is if do they want to work together? Maybe try and run down Acosta. Maybe he doesn't want to change, switch positions around too much because they want to keep the number 5 within reach, only 2 seconds up the road. They don't really have to worry about the cars behind them right now. Pisano another 7 seconds back.
Yeah, they've scampered away from them. Worth noting as well that if Acosta stays where he is, he'll be the only driver to have finished on the podium in every race this season. As up ahead of them, that was Schilling and, oh, nope, that was Acosta actually lapping Schilling. So there's that lap traffic.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of it throughout the event.
Not going to have much for a while because John Ambrose is way ahead of Gary Schilling. In fact, almost half a lap, it looks like.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate to see Ambrose down all the way back, I think, in 27th place now after missing his pit stall. And that's why we said you don't want to come down pit road more than once.
You know, it was more than that because he also came into pit lane and stayed in his stall for almost a minute. Compare that to the 15 to 20 second pit stops that most drivers have been having. I'm not sure if John had an issue or some damage, but that is not typical.
Border almost just ran up the back of the lap car of Gary Schilling. Gary Schilling is proven to be a little bit tricky the past show.
I think he was in a bad spot on this one, though. This was coming over Bill Mitchell Bend. It just about gave an opportunity, there you see right there, to Eisler, but he doesn't try and stick it through, and he stays in third.
Now, what's significant about that, it cost Border pretty much a whole second to our race leader.
And with only 10 minutes left to go, I'm not sure that he's really going to be able to run down Borda, at least on raw pace. Going down to 15th position, Fredes and Heb have a nice little fight happening. They were side by side through Bill Mitchell Bend. Not an easy task, but as they come up the front stretch, you can see the draft being given to Heb. Gives him another opportunity. Fredes is holding the outside, doesn't defend. Heb has his nose in, down into turn 1, but he's got to gun it off the corner. Momentum slightly in favor of Ignacio. Still a little bit of an overlap as they come to turn 3. Oh, and they come together. Door-to-door contact now flying down the moraine sweep, and Heb still not willing to give this one up. Fredes going to fend him off with the inside into turn 5. Couldn't manage to keep him back with the outside through 1 and 2. Could things swing back in his favor finally? And just not enough road there for both of them, so Heb has to back out.
And while this was going on, you probably saw on the left side of your screen, they did switch back and forth for second place. Border let Eisler by on the run down to turn 5, but Eisler went in a little bit deep into the corner. Border got back by him and retook second position, but it costing him even more time to the leader.
We watch this number 77 coming around through the carousel. Heb now has to have eyes both in the front and in the back, with Lowendick having rocked up to them. Keep glancing over at Eisler and Borda on my timing sheet just to see if they're getting close or not.
Yeah. They're coming up through turn 3 right now. So this is where they switched position last time, down at the bottom of this straight, Joe, where Eisler had a run on Border. Border yielded the position in the braking zone, but got him back on the exit. So they are fighting for the second place. Eisler wants it, Border has it. This time a little bit less of a challenge. Eisler a few columns back.
Borda looks like he still feels threatened. He was a bit to the inside down into turn 5 just to cover him off. That could hurt his pace. So Eisler sticks with it and stays in the tire tracks of the 25. I think they've given up hope on the lead at this point, with that back and forth battling that has grown 4.3 seconds to Acosta.
So the Fredes, Heb, Lowendick battle continues as Fredes now is being challenged by Heb on the run down to turn 5. We just saw our leaders going through here. Now here comes the midfield, and they're getting very close as Fredes has the inside. Heb almost got into him. Now he's going to try the crossover, but too much power on exit. Wheel spin, and it won't happen this time.
77 struggling down in the 5th corner. Lowendick thought about maybe trying something up into turn 6, but he had the outside, and this is costing him both quite a bit of time. Fredes pulls a comfortable gap ahead of them by about half a second. Now the rear guard starts for James Heb. With 6 minutes left to go on the clock, the laps are becoming fewer and fewer. Will they get even more aggressive than what we saw at the start?
Chances are very likely, because it's easy to make passes here, and you can just try a little bit harder each time.
Peterson has now caught up to the wounded Garrido. 3:17, unfortunately probably lacking some top end speed, and this is going to be a graphic example. Here comes Peterson, just blows by down the straight, and Diego can do nothing about it.
the best thing for Diego to do is just follow Leif Peterson, try and get his toe, and that could help stop the bleeding. It will make it harder for Paulo Munoz and Sean Romig to catch him. We'll see if he does that or not.
Eisler had another go. They were side by side into turn 5, but once again, Borda covered him off.
But they remain that. Oh,
Something's happened to Heb. Heb was in the wall in turn 1. And this is weird. He blinked out on my screen, Sam, and then suddenly when he came back, he was turning into the wall.
Oh, might have clipped a little bit off the grass there, or that could be a hardware failure. Sounds like the signs of something like that, yeah. Oh, seems okay here.
I don't know. The car looks like it might be damaged because it looked like he was weaving down the straights. Maybe he's just kind of getting his bearings and testing it out. So we head back to Peterson and Garrido. Let's see if Diego's following your advice.
Probably not.
And currently, well, we've got a Garrido burrito as he is sandwiched between Peterson and Munoz, but no longer. In fact, that looked like a big lift to let Munoz by. And Munoz will overtake Peterson as well, though. Remember, he was doing very well earlier. Team has him in his sights. 321 has the 913 in his sights. I believe we have 3 laps left to go.
Yep, that's what I'm seeing. Acosta will come across the line with about 3 minutes left, so that'll be 2 laps left to go this time by.
Oof. Big gain under braking for Munoz. And if he's got enough straight line speed, this might be his time. He is pulling in Leif Peterson down the Moraine sweep. Peterson in the blue and white Porsche. Munoz in the white, black, and red. And he is given the spot as Peterson pulls to the side and lets him through.
Well, they can only play games for so much longer, and you know, there's a lot of crossover opportunities here at Road America. The blocking and the defensive driving, I think, will come into play within these final couple of laps as the drivers will try and maintain their lead in these battles.
So we take a glance at our leader coming around Canada corner. Acosta playing a smart race. It hasn't been a good day for everybody else, though. We've seen a number of DNFs. Almanar, we mentioned earlier. Blonde is out of the race. File, Kenneth Rodriguez. Basigalupo is gone. Simkovic has retired. And Hargrave as well. Lyndon Swaby has recently come into the pits for another time. I'm not sure if he had an incident as we take a glance at Eisler trying to chase Borda down.
Of course, there's always a possibility. Some cars have short-fueled.
Yeah, but Swaby's been in there a long time. The 100 in there for roughly 2 minutes. I think there must have been a big issue out on track for him.
All right, 2 laps left to go. How aggressive is Eisler this time? He might have limited options because I don't think he got a very good exit out of turn 3.
He's going to follow him. We don't need to go to it, but I can tell you that Montini also had an off track and lost 2 positions because of it. No attempt this time from Eisler on board it down into turn 5. I've already seen him try it a couple times. Not really been fully successful.
8th place here, Leif Peterson with Diego Garrido in his damaged car running 9th place, and he's just going to pull out the way and let Sean Romig go by. And actually, that was also Federico Montini go by, so Diego knows he's wounded. And there's Gary Fillon is a slow car on the inside there, lap car.
Yep, Gary just pulling off to the side between 5 and 6, so that worked out perfect. Making sure that he didn't interrupt the battle of 4 cars, all, as we said, trying to fight for P8, which Leif Peterson currently holds. I almost wonder if Peterson let Munoz by because he knew his fight was with Romig, the way that Romig has now caught him.
Yeah, there's a large pack of cars here, battling for 3 prestigious positions, I would say. Joe, try and come out this race with the top 10. Meanwhile, the driver who's planning on coming out this race with the trophy is starting his final lap.
You see him on screen, the number 5 of Abner Acosta. He missed out on the first round, couldn't hold back Diaz. He came back swinging, managed to take the victory at Mid-Ohio. And now he comes in thinking, basically waiting patiently in a large group for many laps, coming into the pits, being able to short fuel, and has since been cruising away. Now, Borda has run him down a little bit since we last looked. It was up to 4 or 5 seconds. Well, it's come down to 3.6. I don't think we're looking at anything dire at this point, though.
Yeah, perhaps one of the best battles left is Romig and Montini for 9th and 10th place. Romig has it in that in the lead car you see there, the number 72. Montini, the number 3, following.
Montini was close down the front stretch. He poked his nose out and then wasn't close enough to really attack. This is going to be his last few opportunities with the white flag out now. Getting on board with him now. Ooh, another look. He's given space, but it was not meant to be. We get one more big shot down into Canada Corner, in which our leader's heading into right now. 3.5 seconds is now down to 3.2 of head of Fernando Borda. We've seen this before. It happened last round at Mid-Ohio where he calmly managed the gap until it was about a second on the final lap, and Diaz could do nothing with him. This time it's a little bit bigger of a buffer as he climbs the hill towards the checkered flag. Abner Acosta with win number 2 here in round 3 of the season.
7th on back, still quite close, but we'll watch Fernando Borda here get 2nd place ahead of Christian Eisler, flashing the headlights as they come across the line. Anthony Pisano going to get a well-deserved and quiet 4th place finish here, Joe, after starting 8th. And as we work our way back through the field, it doesn't look like we're going to see any changes for position from 7th on back.
No, they're a little too far apart. Munoz, though, earning himself a 7th place. Leif Peterson as well in 8th, having started 13th behind them. Sean Romig climbing up to 9th in the top 10 that they were fighting for. Rounded out, sadly for him, is Federico Montini, who probably could have been a little higher up. Dick chases Fredis to the line, but Ignacio just too far ahead for him. I mentioned Heb's strange issue. He returned in 19th, and, well, if his car is damaged, it's not too damaged to keep trundling along. Jose Malbron is close behind, but I think Heb's got him covered off.
Brent Thurman had a big slide through the grass to come home in 22nd. A lot of drivers still on the lead lap, such as the size of this track, and honestly a clean race for most of the field today. John Ambrose is going to finish on the lead lap at 23rd, and our last car on the lead lap will be Donald Olsen down in 24th.
Yep, only 24 finishers out of 35 starters. But let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with the unofficial results and driver interviews. If you watch on screen, you'll see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC.
40 of the best sim racers, $100,000 on the line. Who will rise to the challenge? This is the most competitive and sought after season in iRacing World Championship history. This is where legends are made. This is the Porsche Esports Supercar.
Welcome back to Road America. We just watched round 3 here in the PRL GTE Sportscar Series, and Abner Acosta gets another victory. To back up his one at Mid-Ohio, Fernando Borda was the one that followed him home this time. And it was ahead of our pole sitter, Christian Eisler. Christian did find some pace towards the end, and he was challenging Fernando for that P2, just couldn't quite get around him. Anthony Pisano, as Sam mentioned, just as they came across the line, a quiet race, but a well-earned fourth for him. David Holland takes P5. Michael Diaz, who he came together with Garrido, that set him backwards. Even though a front row start set him in a good spot, he wound up with 6th. Paulo Munoz recovers to 7th himself with Lee Peterson in P8. Sean Romig also takes 9th. Federico Montini falls backwards and rounds out the top 10.
We'll start page 2 of our race results with a sad story, and that's that of Diego Garrido, who was having a good race early on. Unfortunately, it went downhill after that. After that, though, a lot of these people had good, quiet races. In fact, I'm seeing only, on this page, only Diego and Elijah Mitchell, there in 12th place, finished worse than where they started. So Elijah finished with 12th. Jeff Carolla picked up 8 spots throughout the race. Horacio Calquin, he improved. Ignacio Fredes, he moved up some spots. Ted Lowendick as well. Eric Luke down there, he gained 5 positions throughout the race. Sean Duhamel finishes in 18th place ahead of James Hobb in 19th. And Jose Malbran, who picked up 8 positions from his starting spot.
Joey Trungell is going to take 21st with Brett Thurman behind him in 22nd. John Ambrose with his mysterious drive-through that we're still not totally sure about settles for 23rd. Don Olson is the last driver on the lead lap, 24th. Then we get to the first car lap down. Gary Schilling, Francisco Yaniselli, I think managed to finish this race, if I recall correctly. Stacey Dunnigan as well comes back out and finishes 2 laps down. Then you get into the DNFs. Lyndon Swaby, P28th. Timothy Hargrave, 29th. Spencer Zemkovich takes 30th today, with Lucas Basigalupo 31st. Rodriguez, File, LeBlanc, and Almanar rounding out your fields. We've got our winner ready to talk to us. Abner Acosta joins us once again. Abner, I'm starting to notice a little bit of a pattern with some of these races. It looked like you were hanging back a little bit at the start there in the slipstream of the cars ahead. Was there maybe a little bit of fuel saving going on?
Yeah. Hey guys, there was definitely fuel saving, but I'm not hanging back there on purpose. I definitely didn't have. I was definitely trying the whole time, but at one point when I saw Diego and Michael kind of battling for it, I started saving, but it wasn't on purpose.
I gotcha. Well, whatever the case, it really seems to be working in your favor, because repeatedly we've seen you take the lead in pit stops here during this season. I mean, going forward, are you kind of starting to take those notes yourself and thinking this might be a way to continue to give yourself a chance at a second championship?
Yeah, I mean, that's for everybody else too. If you don't have the pace, but you can get close enough to the guy in front of you, just save gas. And I guess thank you to my fuel calculator. It's been working great.
Clearly, obviously, is working well today. But next
You're
race,
welcome.
we're going. Next race, you're going to Road Atlanta, and that's going to be a pretty technical track compared to this one with its own long straight. Do you fancy your chances pretty well at that course? It tends to eat up cars sometimes.
I hope so. It's been for me, it's been hard getting used to the Ferrari. For me, I don't know, it just drives way different than the BMW. So I'm still trying to get there. In this track, even though I won, it was very hard, especially after the pit stops. The car behaved completely different than what I tried on practice, and I thought they were gonna catch me, but I guess Christian and Fernando were just battling back there, and I was able to get away.
Well, congratulations. Regardless, it was 2 wins out of 3 races, sir.
Thank you, guys. I want to thank the sponsors, ButtKicker and SimMSA. and my team. And I want to thank my spotter, Toby, which he helped me out in this race a lot. And thank you guys for broadcast.
As Abner Acosta, our winner today here at Road America. And then up next, Sam is going to be talking to Fernando Borda.
Yeah, Fernando, you got a copy?
Yes.
There we go. Well, Fernando, congrats on the second place finish after starting fifth today. You had an interesting race out there.
I guess I assume I'm
I
translating.
apologize.
That's what I hear. Básicamente él te dijo congratulations por llegar segundo lugar, que fue una buena carrera. Congratulations.
Bueno, primero gracias Abner, otra vez que me toca el podio, por suerte tengo uno que habla español e inglés. Gracias. Sí, fue una muy buena carrera, por fin pude tener un buen resultado en esta temporada, en estas 3 carreras fue mi mejor resultado. Road America me gusta y se pudo hacer una buena carrera, mantenerse adelante, pero bueno, faltó poquito para pelear la punta.
He thanks me again for. He said he got lucky that he got a podium, and there was somebody else that speaks Spanish and English. So he thanked me for that, and he's happy that he was finally able to get a good race out of the 3. And he really likes Road America, and he had a good race and good pace, and he was almost there.
Did he have any thoughts of running yourself, Acosta, down for the win at the end there, or was he focused on battling Isla?
Well, this might be awkward.
¿Tú pensabas que me podía alcanzar a mí o estaba más preocupado por Christian Eisler que pelear al final?
Previo a la parada en pits, estaba preocupado por el consumo de combustible. Yo venía con Ford, sé que Ferrari por ahí ahorra un poco más, entonces me preocupé por ahorrar lo más posible. Pero bueno, al final estaba un poquito más preocupado por Christian que por la punta, porque ya estaba a 2 segundos, no tenía rebufo y no tenía medios ni autos ni off-track disponible para ir a atacar.
He said that before the first stop, he was just worrying about his fuel saving. And after the stop, he was more worried about Christian Eisler battling him. He said he did not have enough off tracks to make a mistake. And he was 2 seconds behind, and he was just basically trying to hold the second spot.
All right. Thank you, Fernando, and good luck at Road Atlanta.
Gracias, Fernando, y buena suerte en Road Atlanta.
Gracias a todos, nos vemos la próxima carrera. Gracias.
Thank you, guys. See you next race.
That was second place finisher Fernando Borda. And up next we have third place. The Iceman joins us once again. Christian, you put it on pole, but you had to settle for a third place. Still, it's been a bit of time since we've talked to you here on the podium. Are you happy with this?
Hi. Yes, I'm very happy to be here again. I didn't expect to be in pole today because there are a lot of very fast drivers, but lucky for me, I got the pole, and later in the race, the lack of pace began to affect me a few laps, and the third place is very good for me. I'm very happy.
Well, glad to hear your graciousness for the position. You talked about late in the race and your pace. You were obviously fighting with Borda to try and take second. You had a few tries, but none of them were successful. Did you think that it would be possible to pass him if you got a good run and then hold him back? Or is it just sort of a Hail Mary, as we like to call it here in English?
Fernando is a very fast driver here, especially here in Road America. But I think it's possible to pass him. I try a few times. I'm waiting for the last lap, and I made a mistake in the 29 lap, and I was 1 second behind on the last lap. I can try to pass him, but my mistake, not maintain the gap with him until the end.
Behind you for the middle part of the race, Acosta said that he was trying to save fuel, and he clearly had a much quicker stop than you. Did you look at that and start to think about future races?
Yeah, I knew Abner knows very well how to save fuel, and he made a very smart race today. He didn't involve in the leaders' incidents or passes, and I think he can make a very fast pit stop, and I have to congratulate Abner because he's very smart and fast. So I think it's a good result for me, and it's that this race proved me I can fight for the rest of the season.
Well, we hope to see you fighting. It's good to see you up on the podium again. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's Christian Eisler, the Iceman, who was fighting for many championships not long ago. Could be in it yet again this season. He's looking pretty strong yet again. So let's close it up and thank, of course, our sponsors as well. SimMSA, once again, the Simulation Motorsports Affinity, can be found at SimMSA.net if you want to check them out and get involved in sim racing worldwide. Of course, also to ButtKicker for all their products that they make for sim racing. Some incredible immersion that you can get out of them. Go to ButtKicker.com if you want to check out their products. Also, a thank you goes out to iRacing for putting us on the iRacing Esports Network. This series, season after season, has proven a fantastic show. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts. You can see them listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Sam, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media. Our Twitter is @GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_RAM. As we mentioned, heading over to Road Atlanta for the next round. That'll be Tuesday, October 8th, a week from now. That'll start at 9 p.m. Eastern, as it does every Tuesday. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen. So check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.